Go
capital
through
of-
these.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a volume test when she does get in, so.
Okay. All right, so we are going to go ahead and call the regular school board meeting for the Coyote Benton City School District number 52 to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So if everybody could take a look at the agenda, and once everybody's looked, I'm going to take a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it. You second it. It's second.
Everyone in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? No. Okay, hearing none. Approval, agenda approved. Is Gina with us yet? You want to see if we can hear her? She can hear us? For those in the audience, Gina
you hear
Warner
me?
is online. Can you hear us, Gina?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Heidi's turning you up. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Talk.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Perfect.
Sorry, I might have background noise.
It's okay. We just want to make sure that you can hear us and we can hear you. So, all right. Moving on from approval of the agenda, delegations. Pete?
Yes, thank you, Danielle. Just real quick, not a traditional delegation because we all just got this information over the weekend and this morning. So I forwarded the email to all the board members, but we do want to recognize Bethany Dabbling and the high school cheer squad, who won first place in the dance cheer float performance category in the Ben Franklin County Fair Parade.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
that's a really cool thing. Normally I would wait, but like I said, we just got this, so felt like, yeah, this is an appropriate place to mention that. That's a really cool thing, and a really big deal. So congrats to the high school cheer team.
That's awesome.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to the proposed consent agenda. Everyone take a look, please, at that, and then. Somebody disapproves at the fair. Anyways, and I we will take a motion to approve the proposed consent agenda. If I could talk, that'd be great.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. All of those in favor of approving the proposed consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. And no abstentions. So, consent agenda passed. I'm sorry, I am not able to keep it together. The animals in the background is awesome. All right. So now we want to entertain public comment. So Heidi, was there any electronic? Would anyone want to come up for public comment? Okay. I gotta read my spiel. Just a second. The board welcomes input from the community. Please follow the public comment procedure by stating your name at the podium and recognized by the clerk. Each person is allowed 3 minutes to speak in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. The board is not allowed to discuss items not on the agenda. The board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during public comment as appropriate. The board will not allow complaints against an individual staff member or student in open session unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. No student or employee names can be used.
All right, Teddy Bryan. I just want you guys to know, having sat where you are, that I know none of this is really your fault. Some decisions are hard to make, and very few of them we have a lot of control over. So sitting up there is a thankless job, so I want to say thank you. At this point, my concern is pretty much worthless, but I want to address the lack of almost any form of art within our district. We're on the second year of no high school art teacher, and with the absence of a band teacher this year, we're looking at a year without music. I do understand that his late departure played a big role in that and his non-replacement of his position, but I assume that the promise of middle school sports at the July 27th meeting did as well. I'm not lost on the fact that sports has forever and will most likely always be more important, but my heart breaks for those kids that found their home, their belonging in the arts, whether it was music, sculpting, drawing, or some other medium. I grew up an athlete, a state champion actually, so the importance of sports is not lost on me. However, much to my dismay, I raised 2 band geeks. It became a program, a lifestyle, if you will, that I spent countless hours, money, and time on, and to see it get lost is devastating. Not only to me, but to those who have a love for the arts. Levy failure sucks. My hope is that the community can see the damage that it has caused, and the promise of middle school sports, that's fabulous. However, the trade-off is gut-wrenching for some of us. Please don't forget to vote in November, and please remember that your child isn't the only one that suffers from the failure. If you have the privilege to drive your child to a neighboring district, that's awesome. But please don't forget the kids that still live within this district, in your neighborhoods, that may not have that same privilege. Those kids were your child's first friends and teammates. Please don't vote against them. I have included on the back, although I'm sure you're aware of the benefits of music in schools, and our kids are missing those benefits this year.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Cole. I just wanted to share with you guys that we're doing summer school. Again, big shout out to Gear Up for helping us out with that. Me and Mrs. Edwards did math and we finished up. And I just want to let you guys know some of the results. Again, thank you to Mrs. Peterson. She helped get a lot of freshmen up. So they were doing jump starts. They were starting their high school classes. On any given day, half of the kids that we had were actually freshmen, which was awesome to see. That's the first time ever. So hopefully that continues and we just get more and more kids getting jump starts early on math and just progressing even further. But the deal was they had to get all the way to an A in order to complete that because they were getting ahead. So we actually had 2 freshmen complete an entire semester of geometry with an A. So they're half a year ahead of their cohort already. Those are the only freshmen that got up to an A. We did have a lot of freshmen that got B's, C's, D's, but they're going to start the school year out with those grades, and then they'll just be ahead of their classmates, and they'll just work towards an A, and then we just kick them right on to the next semester within the same class. So again, all these kids are at a different pace. They're all doing different things, and it's chaotic, but it works, and we're just teaching at desks, and it worked really good. We had one. She was a sophomore, but she's going to be a junior. She finished the entire year of Algebra 2. So she got a whole year ahead, so she can start pre-calculus next year, which was her goal. And again, she had to get an A in both semesters, so she got 100% all the way through it. Which actually she got 100%, so she wanted the plaque. Mrs. Edwards does a plaque, which is awesome for kids who go above and beyond and get not just an A, but they complete absolutely everything that we could possibly assign. Then we had one other kid who actually failed first semester of Algebra 1, struggled a lot, but he came in and got that done. But not only did he get that done, he then started from scratch the second semester and got that all the way up to passing as well. We had 11 kids that came in failing, and again, our school district does not require these kids to come. They're coming of their own volition. Maybe 2 or 3, not of their volition, of their parents' volition. But we had 11 kids that were failing that got their grade to passing, and not only to passing, about 6 of those kids went not just to a D, they got to a C, C minus, a B, or an A even. We had one kid that went from failing all the way to an A. And then we had 4 kids that come in just to improve their GPA. They didn't have a D, one of them had like a B and they just wanted to get to an A, one of them had a C minus, they wanted to get to a B for that 3.0 GPA. So again, we offer, and we offer this during the school year too. It's not just over the summer. That's how our math program works, is these kids can at any time come in and start something from scratch. And they can do that after school during our tutoring hours, which again, thank you to Gear Up that they offer help us with that. But yeah, we're really proud of them, and our summer school has just gotten better and better and better. That's perfect time. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you. Any additional public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move to unfinished business, athletic dates and participate approval. Pete.
Thank you very much. And I know that we also have scheduled an update on this particular issue that was called for at the end of September, but I wanted the board to see and approve the actual numbers that the principals decided to go with. We'll give you the update of how it's being implemented and how kids are doing from an affordability standpoint. But we had an excellent discussion, the secondary principals and district staff. And so we really, I let the building principals kind of take the lead on this because we as a board and I as superintendent, we talked about this quite a bit. And their voice, I think, really shone through because what they were very concerned about, as I know the board was making any activity unaffordable, quite frankly. They wanted to balance the idea of all club and activity participation along with sports as participation, but also not double whammy sports kids by really increasing the ASB fee and really hitting them with a pay-to-play fee. So we managed to meld all of that together, and by the end we were all very satisfied. And took some of the ideas that board members came up with over the course of the past 2 months of discussion. So what we decided to do was move the ASB fee itself in the smallest category because we have a smaller number of true clubs and activities outside of sports. So the one that had the broadest was the one that we would keep as low as possible. And that'll see a $5 increase from middle school going $10 to $15, and then high school $35 to $40. So minimal impact from just the standard ASB fee. And then the middle school per season cost, so 4 seasons are possible. We wanted that set at $20 per season, but a maximum of $50 per student. So meaning if you were a kid who turns out for 2 sports, you'd pay $40, but if you play 3 or 4, you would only pay $50 as a maximum for the entire year. Then with the high school, $30 per season. With a $60 annual maximum per student. And then we put in, again, one of the ideas that we've talked about here at board meetings is for those families with kids at both areas, or both schools, maybe even multiple kids at both schools, we capped it at $100 per family per year. And then the participation fees obviously will help offset activities and athletics, but really, and I can't say this strongly enough, the principals were adamant that if we're going to go to this, that it at least have some realm of affordability for everybody, knowing full well that at the same time that we had this conversation, we went to GISA and received a check for $6,000, which we're going to then put into our Invest Ed account. So, and that's the primary account that we're going to take to offset any and all costs for any club or activity that a kid can't afford. Met with the coaching staff at the coaches meeting on last Monday night. Let them know, not so much as a, hey, make sure everybody gets this paid. It's more along the lines of, please know this is there, but emphasize that kids who can pay it, we appreciate that, and if you have any trouble, that there is not a stigma, there is no anything associated with that. Get to the coach will get to the ASB representatives or the principals to get the additional funding. So it was, quite frankly, even though Clay and Bruce were both here during most of our discussions that we had, it was still a very good and an intense meeting. They were adamant that they wanted a program in a cost structure that would not prohibit kids. They ended on this, and I can say even I thought it might come in a little bit higher, but I really respected the fact that they were fighting for their kids. So the difference of an extra $5 in each category isn't going to make or break the district. So I figured let's go ahead and lean on the side of affordability, and we'll go from there. So my primary purpose is simply to share with the board, in case you get stopped, in case somebody says anything, these are the actual fees that we propose. The ASB fees will go into effect upon successful adoption by the two building ASB clubs. But I think the principals came up with a good compromise for all parties. So with that, I would absolutely entertain any questions about process, and just ask that the board approve the amounts, and then we'll still plan on being back at the end of September to give you an update.
Question?
Well, it's a good finish to what, kind of the whole process.
Agreed.
So, I'd move that we approve as written and then finalize it after the school year starts.
Provided it's approved by ASB.
I second that.
So it's been approved and seconded moved and seconded for the athletic pay to play participate numbers. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Gina?
I, mine was I.
Okay. I thought you were gonna let the lamb vote for you again. That was awesome.
Yeah, you can hear them in the background.
That's awesome. All right, so that has been an athletic pay to play or pay to participate. Numbers have been approved. Moving on to new business and policy 2255, alternative learning experience courses approval leave.
Thank you very much. Board members, this is, one of the things I love about being a superintendent, and I've told anyone or everyone this, is there always are things that come along that you have never experienced before. And what I'm asking the board for is something I haven't asked the board for in my 9 years here. And that is to simply approve the first reading of a policy. And the reason I am doing that is because after about a 6-month wait, our online program that the board approved way back in February was approved by OSPI last week. And in their acceptance email, they said, just make sure that you have this policy in place before it starts. And of course, we start school in a week.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is simply advise you that this is not a policy that is binding in any way, shape, or form. This is to do two things. First, as you read through, you will go down. The most important piece is directly below. The district establishes the following alternative courses provided on-site, remote, or online as defined in WAC 395, blah, blah, blah. Stellar Virtual Academy is the provider of all of our online courses, as it says there. And then simply says the following sentence: the school district official or officials responsible for these courses are Pete Peterson, superintendent, and designees. So all of the other stuff is simply procedural work that the district has to ensure is taking place. the most important thing that OSPI needs to see from the board is simply the fact that we have identified our service provider in Stellar Virtual, and that I am taking responsibility for Stellar getting up and running and providing those courses. This being a little bit different in that I'm asking for approval tonight so we can start these kids in school on Tuesday, is the fact that if there was anything about this that was either binding or couldn't be changed later, if language changes from OSP, I would say, no, we need to wait. However, we can change this once we approve it under exactly the same circumstances that we approved tonight. So this is, I wish they had told me that this was going to be a requirement 6 months ago, but they didn't. They sent it now, and having run this past some folks up at WASDA, as well as a former director of WASDA, as well as some other districts that are doing it, this is verbatim what other districts who have this type of a program in place have used. So I don't see any reason that we'll need to change it, but that's always an option.
So you need a motion?
I need a motion and an approval, please.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
All right. So all of those, it's been moved and seconded. So all those in favor of policy 2255, alternative learning experience courses to be approved, say aye.
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 Aye. None
Aye.
opposed. Gina? None opposed. So motion carries and passes. Next, building handbooks. Pete?
Thank you very much. So, as you probably got a chance to take a look at in your board packet, excuse me, all three of our schools turned in their updated school handbooks. And this really is almost turning into a moot point, because this policy and procedure of boards doing this is done virtually statewide now, but again, almost virtually statewide, people are moving away from printed handbooks. And this practice really was meant to put a hard copy of a handbook in front of a board so that they could say that they saw it and approved it prior to the school year, and then it never changed for another year. In fact, it was prohibited from changing. The worst thing you could do is change a handbook or try to change a handbook in December. But we're in 2026, and these things only exist online. And quite frankly, it isn't nearly as big a deal or as tough a process to try and change it if we had to. Being, though, that the board is going to motion to approve these tonight, it would not be a change that would be made without the board's approval. So you can rest assured that these aren't just willy-nilly getting updated next week and posted on the web. But it's just funny to me that for many of us when we were in school, changing of the handbook was simply unfathomable. Now it's not as big a deal, but the board will always get a chance to review that if such a thing were to come up. And it's still gonna take something pretty special for us to make a move like that. But I commend the principals at all three buildings. Lisa, thanks for being here. They worked all summer on these to get them done. And had a lot of discussions, a lot of time amongst themselves, making sure that they meshed and were cohesive as you move from building to building to building, which hasn't always been the case. We're really starting to get some vertical alignment, not just in our handbooks, but in our curriculum and different things, and that's primarily due to the hard work of the principals. So I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. And other than that, we're just looking for a motion to approve.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So do the students, do they go through them like the first week of school, and like, do they sign something saying they've gone through it, or?
Lisa, what happens at
younger
the
ones go
elementary?
through middle school?
Yeah, it's a little bit different for us because it is difficult for all of our kids to go through them just based on the ages in which we serve. But when we printed them, they did go home with like the first week packets to the parents. But we, as like adults in the building, there are very specific things that are gone throughout the first week with our students. And so one of the big things in relation to like the policies and procedures that are in them have to, for our handbook especially, have to do with the expectations. So like the classroom expectations and our school-wide expectations, and then also the district expectations that we have. And so that's a part of like one of the round robin things that we do with the kids and some of the PBIS stuff that we do throughout the building. And so we go through all of that with our students throughout the first, that podium is kind of difficult, but so we do go through all of that with the kids. And then we've had discussions this year, especially because of like Final Forms and all of the discussions that we've had about more of the communication with parents through Parent Square and through Facebook, different things like that. Just making sure, because some of the other pieces have to do with ensuring that all of the parents know like what our bell schedule looks like and like where are they gonna pick up, because for the elementary school we have very specific pickup and drop off locations, and so we always make sure that we get that information out to parents ahead of time also. What does the dress code look like, different things like that. And so for us it's more about ensuring that that information goes to the parents, so then that way your kindergartner, you know, as a parent, you know that for your kindergartner and for your first graders and second graders and things like that. So, but then all of the components that our students need to know, we start teaching that through our classrooms the first day of school. So
I'm assuming middle school is probably like during K, or
Yeah.
high school
Yeah.
is probably during their,
Advisory.
yeah. Okay, because they can't come back and say, well, I didn't know that.
yeah,
What they do.
Well, and two, the nice thing about this particular format, and I've talked with principals about it, they can send a Parent Square and embed the link of the actual handbook directly in their parent message. Heck, I was telling staff today, you know, 94% of our parents have the correct Parent Square contact information. That's how many of them are active right now. So it's, in my worldview, it's probably a better rate of return knowing the parents actually know what's in the handbook with Parent Square than it ever was sending a piece of paper home. But I know they do it in the advisories, and they're going to send them home to parents too. So.
and they're up on everybody's website also, so they're up, like when, after they get approved, they'll go up on our elementary school website and then on the middle school website and on the high school website also, so everybody will have access to them.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just a little different, especially for those of us who still remember the days of taking home the hard copy and don't lose it and don't ever change it, so.
I have a question. So digitally, are they available only in English, or do we have alternative languages?
No, we're gonna have translations.
Okay.
Once they're approved by the board, we'll have translations done and made.
Perfect.
Other than because, and I apologize for throwing this in theory, you can go on our website and translate them using Google Translate to any language that's available. However, we all know that Google Translate is about an 80% at best grammatically correct translation. So at least for Spanish, we'll have an actual translated document.
I'm just asking because like Parent Square sends home the message in their native language, but then they click on the link and it's in English and maybe they don't read English.
Yeah.
That could be an issue. So I was just wanting to make sure that we're offering it in multiple languages.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any other comments? Do you have anything, Gina?
No, I don't have any comment
Okay.
right now.
So I'm hearing no more comments. We're willing to entertain an approval motion for the building handbook.
Make a motion that we approve the building handbooks for 2026, 2027 school year.
I'll second
Been motion and seconded to approve the building handbooks for the 26-27 school year. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hearing no, all ayes and no opposed, motion passes for the building handbooks. So moving on to the County of Benton Education Association contract approval.
Thank you, Danielle. And this is going to get a little bit repetitive, and I apologize. And I'll have more to say about the process in my report. But basically, we've got before you the KBA contract under item C along with the rest of the contracts. So like I said, it's going to get a bit repetitive, but of the contracts that we had open, KBEA being the biggest contract, probably took the longest. I want to commend Cole for leading that negotiations for the Teachers Association. And honestly, even though it took a while to get through all of the language changes, we did a lot of correcting this year, a lot of up-to-dating, because there were, and it doesn't matter how many times you've worked on a contract, you will find things from 15 years ago that should have been caught and wasn't. But the long story short is that this contract, and you'll hear me say it repeatedly over the course of each of these contracts, they approved the state IPD rate of increase, which is the 2.6%, which is the funding amount that the state sends to districts for that raise. KBA was very understanding and completely empathetic to the district, as were all of the others, quite frankly, with regards to this. KBA understood that this was not a time to be asking for big dollar raises. They know the position that the district is in, and the financial piece actually took less time than some of the language pieces. So all in all, this was a good contract both for the association, but from a fiscal standpoint, especially for the district. There are basically no dollars allotted beyond what the state allowed.
What was the ratification date?
I don't remember the ratification date. We ratified it quite a while ago.
Okay.
Hold on,
June. We
Like in
ratified it
June? Okay, I can do this, I don't think I know.
We just waited for all of them to come on board.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Just making sure. And is that the same for the extracurricular too? Is that also in June?
No.
Okay.
We did that one last Monday at the coaching meeting, after the coaching meeting.
It was June 13th.
Right after school that out.
Correct.
Jumped up quick.
Props. This is pretty quick.
Well, you didn't want to let everybody get away. If you know you have a captive audience, you can probably corral them a little bit better.
All right, are there any questions about that particular business item? I'll entertain a motion to approve the KBA contract.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor of approving the KBEA contract, say aye.
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 Hearing all ayes and it is approved. Moving on. Next contract, B.
Yep, thank you. Next is the County of Benton City Secretaries Association. And again, I will put a public thanks out to Lori Hahn and her team. Lori takes a lot of pride in trying to have the shortest amount of time negotiating a contract. And theirs is by volume itself, number of pages, the smallest. However, again, I can't say enough about our secretary's team. with Lori, and the fact, again, no crazy asks. This was simply a pass-through of the state allotted 2.6%, did a few language changes, did a few nuts and bolts, not a huge change. I failed to mention the KBEA contract was for 2 years. The KBSA secretary's contract is for 3 years with salary set for 2. So we'll visit back again during their 3rd year for only salary. So, but a great process again.
Alright, questions? Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
I'll second
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the KBSA contract. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hearing all ayes, the KBSA contract is approved. Next, PSE, LOA.
Yeah, PSE was in the 3rd year, going into the 3rd year of a 3-year contract. So this is actually what the secretary's contract will look like in 2 years. We did not renegotiate the whole contract, simply had the salary as the only opener. So that's why you see a letter of agreement. The rest of the contract wasn't touched. Again, try as the secretaries might, the PSE got them this time because it was agenda. So they again approved a 2.6 ratified, 2.6% IPD only.
Questions? Entertain a motion to approve the PSE LOA.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Everyone in favor of the PSE LOA? Say aye.
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 Okay. Hearing all ayes, PSE LOA carries. Next, KBEA extracurricular contract.
Thank you. Letter F, the KBEA extracurricular, commonly referred to as the coach's contract. Note here a little bit of a difference in that this was a 1-year agreement. And also, given the fact that our sports have been typically levy funded, neither party felt it was in either best interest to give a raise to coaches in a time when we didn't have an active levy going. So, signed a 1-year contract, made a couple, I'm looking at Cole as he's on a song.
Pay attention.
I know you are. Made a couple of changes other than that, as far as number of coaches in a couple sports, but other than that, not much of a change at all, but just a 1-year contract. And that's not uncommon for coaches or the extracurricular contract, is to just go in 1-year increments. So, again, quick process, very, very collaborative. So, thank them for that. And Cole led that one as well.
Question? Entertain a motion to approve the KBEA extracurricular contract.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the KBEA extracurricular contract, say aye.
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 All right, hearing all ayes, that motion carries. Next, KBPA contract.
So, just in our final contract for approval tonight, first off, the note that I always want to talk about. The Principals Association, while it is a Principals Association, it is not a collective bargaining group. So that means simply that there is no principals union. They are not a member of an actual formal union. That being said, they can elect people to negotiate from within their ranks on their own behalf. But again, with the principals, we felt in working with Mona that all of the other groups is included in IPD specifically for building principals. So we felt like it was appropriate to pass it through to them as well. It is a 3-year contract, which quite frankly guarantees that they will not get more than IEP for any of the 3 years. So even if we were to hit the proverbial lottery, our principals will only be getting 3 years, including this one. The one change I would make a note of, because it did look a little funny to me, but as I talked to some other principals, and I think it's a trend, it used to be that we had a 210-day or 205-day principal's contract, and they work from whatever day of the year they started in August, they then work the next 205 or 210 days. And then stopped, and then you wouldn't see them during the summer, and then they come back in August. And what we started, last year was the move to a 210 days. We kept it at 205 during the school year, with 5 of those days to be worked during the summer, because we saw an increase in the number of things occurring later in the year, and hiring still to do, and those types of things. So this year, with that same idea, we went to a 200-day school year contract with then 10 days to be worked June, July, and August, as the need presented itself. And I can tell you that had that been an effect for this year, they would have worked all of those days. Because we had a later than normal turnover. So we had hiring from the last day of school all the way up until we've got hiring that's going to be taking place tomorrow. So we felt it was in the best interest of the district to be able to say our principals are going to come in on an as-needed date basis for those 10 days during the summer, and make it a part of their contract. So all we're doing, we're not lengthening or shortening the days, we're just readjusting how they work during the year. I wouldn't be surprised at some point down the road that you see 4 principals, because this isn't turning into a job where you can't even take July off if you want to, even a couple of weeks, much less all of it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see that happen, but this is a step in that direction.
Comments? Okay, so entertain a motion to approve the principal's contract.
So moved.
I'll second
Okay, it's moved and seconded to approve the KVPA contract. Everyone in favor, say aye.
it.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, hearing all ayes, and motion carries. So that fills out that section.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, board comments.
Looking forward to middle school open house Wednesday night. I don't know if I can comment, but the first levy meeting is Thursday night, 6:30 at the library. So I did write and submit the pro levy for the November election, so I'll bring copies of that for everybody. It's 250 word max. I was able to squeeze in 249. So, and the board, or Benton County informed me that there wasn't a no levy committee formed, so there's no rebuttal or anything. And sure, it's something we'll face on, with the keyboard warriors and social media, but so far it's been pretty quiet. So there were a number, quite a few on the, especially from the community, that are at least invited to Wednesday's meeting, so I'm encouraged by that.
Thursday's meeting.
Or Thursday's meeting.
All right. Gina, do you have anything?
I don't, other than I'm sorry I couldn't be there today. I would prefer to be.
Thursday affair.
We have our first football game next Friday, right?
Yeah. Fourth.
Fourth.
That's gonna be a home game.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's a volleyball game like the Wednesday,
Oh, yeah,
Friday.
there's a Wednesday.
Yeah, thanks Heidi for sending that
Yeah.
out, that helps a lot.
I kept going, what's VB? What's VB? What am I missing?
I know, that exactly.
Next
The
Friday
fourth.
is the 4th, yes.
It's
Then
Friday,
next
it's Labor Day weekend.
This Wednesday is.
The first day of school is.
Thursday, Wednesday. next Tuesday, Wednesday of this week is middle school open house. Next Wednesday is volleyball and then praise.
Anything else? Hearing none. Pete, what you got?
All right, well, thank you very much. Just real quick, I would be remiss because one of the things I wanted to say is, and I mentioned Cole for KBA and for the coaches extracurricular. I mentioned Lori Hahn for the secretaries. I failed to mention Ivy Minnick for PSE, who led those negotiations for that letter of agreement. But overall, those three as our leaders of their respective bargaining units, it really was a very good negotiation season, meaning that there wasn't a lot of give and take, there wasn't a lot of demands. It was simply an understanding that this is a time that everybody kind of needs to get through. They knew it, we knew it, and the professionalism and respect that was shown at the table by all three units, I can't speak more highly about. It makes me very proud to be associated with those three and with the three unions. So thanks for that. Just first in-service day today. So I was out and about. I got to speak at 2 of the 3 buildings today and kind of went over our district reorganization as we've had some retirements and some people leaving and who's responsible for all the major areas and duties. We were able to talk about that. We were able to make a plug for being involved in levy activities. I didn't tell them which way, of course, to go, because that wouldn't be right, but be involved as they can. And then finally is just the fact, and Lisa and I were speaking about this earlier before the meeting, I would love to be able to tell you how many kids we have, but we literally have kids coming and going on a daily basis. Lisa's interviewing for the one open kindergarten position that we have left, but we are really right in that fine area, especially at primary, meaning K and first grade especially, where we're getting dangerously close to having to hire a temporary teacher for the fall, for next year if we get too far above. I think the board is aware. We are funded for K3, and we get a funding bump from the state if we keep the student to teacher ratio to 17. And we are right there up against it in first grade and kindergarten especially. And it involves some math that Mona is the only one in the district who can play around with it well, because you have to add in library time, you have to add in the elementary art class and computer class and things like that make the numbers go kind of wonky, at least for an English teacher. But tomorrow, to really find where that limit is of, okay, if we have X number of students, then we will be ahead financially by hiring another staff member as opposed to taking the penalty of losing out on those allocations for that small class size. So we'll be looking at that tomorrow. However, and I know Lisa just hates it when I say this, we know, at least I know, that there are kids currently on the rosters at every building we think have every intention of being here, but unbeknownst to us, they moved to Prosser, Yakima, Moses Lake, wherever, and we're not going to find out until 2 or 3 days into school. We think they're just absent, they're just, having fair time, or didn't quite get back from fair time, or something like that. When in reality, they're gone, and we'll get a request from another district saying, hey, by the way, we need records. So while we may open with a substitute teacher in a role because of what is on paper class size, we have to make sure that we have actual kids coming through the door before we commit to the year's contract. The worst thing we can do from an organizational standpoint is bring a teacher in, and 3 weeks into school, they're down 12 kids. That's not good planning or good management. So we'll be watching that very closely, working with Lisa, because elementary obviously has the biggest impact. Those kids have the same teacher for the year, so we want to make sure that we get it right. But for our next meeting on the 14th of September, we will definitely have a very solid idea of where we're at moving forward, because by that time, tell us they were going, but they were no-shows, so they were gone for the first 2 weeks. Those kids will have been dropped by then, and we'll have a fairly hard and fast number for you. And then, because this is our last meeting before the 14th, I do want to remind the board, even though I know several of you know it, I will not be at Hy-Vee Days this year. My middle son, is getting married on the 12th up in Mount Vernon. So I have a feeling I'm going to wish I was here, quite frankly. Having been to a few weddings over the summer, because being a former high school principal, when my son graduated, all of his friends who used to come over to our house were getting invitations to all of their weddings, and now it's his turn. But I know that there are several staff members taking lead on some kind of Event City Days activities. Some of our teachers are really trying to become active and involved in that. So I'm going to work with Cole to make sure that we have good participation, at least as much as we can. So that's what I have for you this evening.
Are we pretty successful in maintaining a good sub list, or is it a struggle for substitute teachers?
It's a struggle, and I wish I could say that was just us, but it's not. It's everywhere. We have a number of local Benton City folks who only sub for us. Thank goodness, because they really do carry us throughout the year. We're at a point where it used to be, for instance, when I started teaching in the mid-90s, I was a substitute in Pasco, but I was also a substitute in Richland and would cut out here if I got a call. Now, there are people that don't have to go more than to their local neighborhood school. They can sub every day without even going across the district they live in. So we don't have a lot of people willing to make the drive out, and I'd love to say it was strictly because of money. It's not. They just don't have to go. You can sub every day at Kennewick High School if that is the best place for you, or Richland High School, or Hawthorne Elementary. But like I said, we've got a good number of folks here, but once we get through them, things get dicey. That's why, and I know Cole feels the pain, because he's asked to sub at least once a week, I'm sure probably more than that, during his prep hour, as all of our teachers do, folks that are more likely to be gone for whatever reason, and that's not a slam, that's entirely their right. So you have personal days and you have sick days, and you use them when you need them. That's what it is. So that was a long answer to your question of saying, yeah, we're still short. If you're interested in being an emergency sub, Mike, I can sign you up.
I'm not interested in being an emergency anything.
Anything else? Good. All right, so now we'll go into executive session pursuant to RCW 423110, Section 1G, performance of a public employee for 60 minutes with no business to follow.
Gina, I'll call you, by the way.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.